It's time to pick a side. The border war is on the air with BG and TanMan.
All right, everybody, welcome in to the border war. It is July 17th, 2018. 1 year ago, we sat in this very studio and our war on crummy local sports talk radio began. And before we start getting into how we came to be and how we're sitting in this spot right now, we want to pay the bills. Thank everybody for listening last week and all the weeks previously. A reminder, we're on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Spreaker, and we have come up with a new partner this week. You can now find us on Spotify, BG.
Spotify, the largest online music app available. If you've got Spotify on your phone, I think it's a lot better than Pandora or all the others because you can build your own playlists. So if you've got Spotify already, all you have to do, now when you search for it, there's two things to remember. You do have to type the word "the." Yep. It doesn't like it when you just type border war. I mean, you'll find other things, but it won't be about sports. And so type "the border war" and also make sure you're searching in podcasts. When you do your search, I think what you have to do is just scroll down and it sort of lists podcasts down toward the bottom. Yeah. But it's the same picture that's on our Twitter handle and on our Spreaker app, so you should find it easily. It works basically just like Spreaker. Obviously, we're excited because that exposes the show to a much, much, much larger audience than we've had available so far. And like TanMan said, I mean, all of this has happened in just 1 year.
Yeah, well, look, we've had, in 1 year, we have had listeners in probably, what would you say, a dozen different countries?
I would say a dozen.
Probably 20 different states across the country.
Consistent listeners in Texas and Virginia,
California,
Washington State,
yep. Florida, Ukraine.
I still think those people are very disappointed. I think they're like, we will learn how to take over the Crimea from this podcast.
Maybe, but look, we're making friends everywhere. We're going to make friends out there. It's going to be fine. Everything's fine. Go on Spotify, hit the little heart, like the show. We'll pop up in your library. We'll be easy to get every week. We're there.
Yeah, good stuff. I mean, and like you said, it's been a year ago today. We were sitting in this same room. We didn't have any theme music yet, which is how the show accidentally got deleted. You went back and tried to add theme music.
We just hit the button and
I remember.
Hey, it's TanMan and BG.
Just basically
we're here to talk about sports. And oddly enough, that show was pretty popular when we released it. I couldn't believe it.
I believe if I remember, around 300 people listened to that first show, which was not what I had in mind. I had in mind that we would get 15 or 20 listens.
Yeah.
And it really, the show in general has been more successful than we thought it would. We've obviously changed platforms. We sort of tried to go back to the Meredix platform, but it's honestly just not worth it the way you have to upload that thing for the listeners we were getting. But
one thing that I think we've done well is we're willing to try things.
Yeah.
If we try it and it's lame and it is terrible, then we'll do something else.
Or if someone steals it and starts doing it on live radio, we will move on and do something else.
So, BG, before we get into the NBA Summer League, let's tell the listeners a little bit about how we came about, how we wound up sitting here together every week. Real quick, how did the border war begin?
Well, both of us, before we met, were big sports fans, obviously. TanMan, more of a basketball fan. Me, probably more of a baseball and a football guy. But we were both big fans of certain local shows here in Spartanburg, South Carolina, where we live. And
one you could call in a lot.
One that you could call in a lot, and we're not going to name shows, but obviously a lot of people won't know what we're talking about because that station can't reach the other side of Spartanburg County. But it used to be really good, and then things changed, and it got really, really bad. Bad to the point that TanMan and I who knew each other through work outside of the show, obviously, started just talking about sports a lot. And occasionally it would come up that one of the reasons we felt the need to talk about sports so much was because we didn't get our itch scratched by local radio anymore. And more we started finding ourselves just complaining about...
No, basically we sat in a room and said, this is terrible. We could do a better job.
Well, I think we would be having conversations about sports, and other people would say to us, man, you guys are better than those guys on the radio, and you're just sitting in an office like arguing. So we just decided, hey, we'll buy a cheap microphone and give it a shot.
And here we are. Yeah. 1 year later.
Here we are.
Yeah. Well, one place that some folks are not at, the Charlotte Hornets are not out in Las Vegas anymore. Their summer season ended, I believe it was last Saturday or Sunday, in a great game with the Raptors in the quarterfinals of the Summer League tournament.
Just for people that don't follow it closely, kind of give us an overview of how the Summer League works. I mean, like how it's set up.
This year was the first year they used to have one in Orlando, and it'd be about 10 teams. But this year, they sent all 30 teams out to Vegas. So every NBA team was out there. They played 3 games in kind of a... Now, I wouldn't really call it pool play, but they just kind of, everybody played 3 games, and then they seeded them, and then they played a tournament. And, of course, like the most NBA thing, you've got a championship game tonight. That's a rematch of last year's Summer League championship game.
Right.
But the Charlotte Hornets went, I think, 2-1 in their preliminary games, and then they got a couple wins in the tournament. Fell to the Raptors, but really... The team that fell to Toronto and came on back home is not the same team that played early on.
Well, they had a couple of guys go down in the first game, right?
Yeah, Malik Monk went down with a thumb injury. Devontae Graham played a couple games, and he went out with a knee. I think Willie Hernan-Gomez played a few games, and I want to say he had a death in the family. And so he didn't play. So by the time they finished up, it was really a shell of what they could have been out there.
I mean, it's just, and it honestly, let's be honest. I mean, it doesn't, honestly, let's be honest. That was great. That's the kind of comment you can only get here on the Border War. Isn't this sort of like minor league baseball? I mean, yeah, you want to win, but you want to get minutes for these kids. You want them on the floor. Is it kind of we talked about this during the Charlotte Hornets season last year. Is it sort of an unfortunate thing that we're still trying to get Malik Monk minutes in the Summer League when he should have been playing all year, getting minutes for a team that wasn't going to make the playoffs anyway?
He should have been getting minutes, I think, last year.
Have we gotten a comment on that? I mean, obviously those guys are all gone.
You could look back and argue that, he probably should have been playing more.
I would definitely make that argument.
But if you watched, he only played the one game. But if you watched the first game he played, he was
dynamic.
He was awesome.
He looked amazing.
I get that. A lot of these guys are not necessarily even playing for NBA contracts. A lot of these guys in the summer league are trying to catch on with the G League, or a lot of them are really
going to Europe.
So the competition is not apples to apples. But to me, I looked and whenever I watched the Hornets games, what I saw was a team that had Monk, Bacon, Hernan-Gomez, 3 guys who are going to be probably up on the big team this year.
Yeah.
And then when we put in Devontae Graham in there, they had one guy that they picked up 2 days before they left from the College of Charleston. I'm drawing a blank on what his name is. But just the camaraderie on the team, the chemistry on the court between these guys, other than winning the thing, because I want to say that I saw some Summer League odds, and I didn't know that was a thing. But Summer League odds
that you can bet on a quarter flip.
They had the Hornets at like the third best odds to win the thing, or fourth best odds to win the whole Summer League. Had they stayed healthy, I definitely think that they could easily be playing tonight. So when you factor in the injuries, it's hard for me to look at their Summer League as a whole and not be extremely, extremely pleased with how things turned out.
So, I mean, overall, and let's remind everybody again that while Charlotte was a disappointing team last year, they have had moderate success in the past 3 or 4 seasons. So this is not a program that's just bereft of talent. But so you're pretty pleased with the draft, and now you're pleased with the guys, some of whom were drafted last year in the summer league. I mean, could you really make the argument though that even though this is summer league and it doesn't count, that those games might mean more to this franchise than the actual games that are going to be played in this NBA season?
Well, some of what you want to look for when you watch these summer league games is, okay, what does a guy need to do better? And the perfect example of that is Miles Bridges. First round pick, probably, I'd be shocked if he doesn't crack the rotation with the big team. Out there in Vegas, 15 points and 8 rebounds. The thing that you found that he needed to work on, which is no surprise, his 3-point shot. He's going to be out there. He's going to be in the corners a lot. He shot under 20%. But
it may be something that he needs to know he needs to work on. Because
and so now
the game is not the same game.
No, but now that he's gotten out there, he's gotten NBA minutes. He sees what he does well, which is he played amazing defense, and he sees exactly what it is he needs to work on. And now, like I said, you've gotten those NBA minutes, you've seen that. And so now it's a little different besides somebody telling you and you actually having to go out there and experience it for yourself.
I'm not sure if we've talked about this on the show or not, but I think one of the reasons you love this so much is because for you, it's sort of like back on the old PlayStation 2 when you could import your college players into the pros.
Awesome.
That's what this is like for you, because you watch so much college basketball that you literally know every one of these guys.
I know a lot of them.
Every one of these guys. So you're watching them come in and play in combinations that you've never seen. That has to be sort of fascinating.
Yeah. But I turn it on and I've watched Nets games because Theo Pinson is there.
Sure. Right.
Except Laker games, because Joe Barry never played. He didn't play 1 minute.
And that's probably not a good sign, but it's also confusing.
Yeah, but as far as the Hornets go, to me the most impressive performance that I saw from guys, I'm going to go with Willie Hernangomez. He's a guy who's played actual NBA basketball. He never really quite found a niche, kind of bounced around. Some people have questioned his work ethic. He goes out to Vegas. He's with a lot of younger guys. He gives you 18 points, 12 boards a game. A lot of time, other than the first game with Malik Monk, I thought Hernangomez was probably the most consistent, most dominant player that they had on the team. I thought he was great. I think that there's going to definitely be a role for him. So I'm really looking forward now that Howard's out of there. Maybe there's some more minutes for Hernangomez.
If you put NBA competition over an 82-game season at a difficulty of 10, just for easy math, where would you put Summer League play? I mean, it's a short... a 6?
Yeah, I'd say probably about a 5 or 6.
Yeah. So I mean, it's not like you said, it's not apples to apples,
sloppy.
but it's also not apples to horseshoes either. I mean, it's pro basketball in pro uniforms with pro referees, pro rules. Do you feel like the style of basketball is similar? Do you see most of the emphasis on the big athletic 6'10" guys still having to shoot the long ball? Because college basketball, you can still dominate the paint and just destroy people.
Right.
You cannot do that in the NBA.
No, that's quickly becoming a dying breed in the NBA. With these summer league teams, it's not the head coaches that are coaching the team.
Exactly.
It's assistants.
But one would think there is an emphasis on running our system.
And that's what you saw with the Hornets. They got up a lot of threes. And one thing Borrego said when he came was he wants to kind of bring that team more into today's NBA. They're going to take a few more threes. They're going to increase the pace a little bit. And like I said, you saw that on the floor. Guys were getting up and down, and it does lead to a little bit of sloppy play sometimes. But like I said, these are young guys. They're trying to get their feet wet. They're trying to show the coaches what they can do. Charlotte had a lot of guys that I think are are going to be capable if they're able to move some of the I hate to say dead weight that they have up in Charlotte on the big team, MKG. But if they can move some of this dead weight, they've got a lot of young guys who, like I said, really went out there this past week and a half or so and really got after it. Like I said, I'm really pleased with it.
I remember, just to bring baseball into this briefly, it was a little bit before your time, but I remember watching the Atlanta Braves in 1985 and 1986 and 1987 and 1988 and 1989, and all that time, Glavine came up and he was starting. I think Glavine's first game was in 1987, and then I think Smoltz's first start was in 1988. And you could start to see that they had individual players who just were flat out going to be able to play baseball, but they couldn't put it together yet. Do you think this upcoming Charlotte Hornets season, if people are sort of looking for a reason when they see it on to be interested in it, is just to pay attention to guys like Miles Bridges and watch their development? Because when that cap space clears, if you've got a good young foundation, then you're going to be able to make that argument to some, mid-level veterans that Charlotte might be a destination. And obviously continue watch the draft, but for this season, is that what you would say?
I would say if Charlotte wants to kind of rebrand themselves, you've got to find a way to get guys like Miles Bridges and Malik Monk and Dwayne Bacon up on the big team, get them consistent minutes, because right now, we've talked about it before, the product is kind of, I guess you'd say, a little stale. And you got to do something to kind of reinvigorate that fan base.
Pick was great. I didn't understand his lack of minutes. Do you think the goal should be for him by May of next year to be starting on that team?
We've talked about. I've told you, I would tear it down. I would trade Kemba. I would move everything that I could move.
You're back to that now.
But I'm gonna bring it back. I would move everything I could move just to make sure that I could clear enough minutes and clear a rollout for guys like Monk and Miles Bridges, because I don't want them to get buried on the bench. They sent Monk to Greensboro. He played like one game. He scored like 45 points. So it's like he's way too good for this.
Yes,
but he's not. He wasn't ready. He's just kind of in this in between. Man, those guys on the in between. If you think they can play, take your lumps, suck it up, get them in the lineup.
I heard somebody say it about NFL quarterbacks on my way over here today. You don't learn to play that position by watching.
Exactly.
And
get them out there, man.
Yeah, you got to play. But a couple of weeks ago, when LeBron left the East, you were all confused about whether or not the Hornets needed to double down and actually try to win something. And I told you that wasn't the right idea. But so you've come back to my way of thinking. I said
tomorrow I'll say keep Kemba and make a run. But
you're not going to keep Kemba either way.
The main thing is to make sure that there are minutes for Bridges and Monk and Bacon. However you get there,
the question,
make sure you get minutes for these
absolutely
guys.
No, we're both in agreement on that. The question with Kemba to me is, do you let somebody outbid you for him, or do you try to get something for the guy? But now it's a kind of a problematic contract.
I think they're going to go into the season with him.
No, I agree with you. I think he'll get traded when playoff situations start to develop.
If he gets moved, it'll be during the season.
And somebody will go ahead and sign him to a contract from that point.
He'd be foolish.
Yeah.
Hit the open market, man.
Yeah.
If he gets moved, don't sign anywhere.
Well, it depends on what they offer him or where he gets traded.
Yeah.
But,
all right. That's segment 1. We're going to be back with segment 2. Want to hear some college football? It's around the corner. Those guys will be heading to camp soon, so we're going to take a look at some Gamecocks and some Tar Heels and maybe a little Clemson Tigers.
Oh, come on now.
Yeah. But we'll make sure you like us and share us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. Spreaker, Spotify, YouTube, we're everywhere.
SoundCloud, I think we're still.
I don't think we're on SoundCloud.
We're not on SoundCloud anymore. No. Nobody was listening on SoundCloud anymore.
Well, you had to pay for it,
and
so I was having to delete the episode every week. So I just quit putting it on there.
Don't blame you.
Yeah, it was.
Forget what I said about SoundCloud.
Again,
why would you go to SoundCloud over Spotify?
Yeah, we're on Spotify. I can't believe it.
We're on Spotify.
What?
A 1-year-old on Spotify. Happy birthday.